Hello BookTube! Welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and today I'd like to show you the books that I acquired in January and the first half of February. Now, I was originally going to do just a January haul and save my February stuff till the end of the month, but I realized that in a couple of days I'm going to be going to a very large library book sale, and that will be a video all on its own. So I decided that today I would just go ahead and show you all of January and the books that I've already gotten up to this point in February, and then later on I will do a video of what I get at the big book sale. Now for January, I also went to some book sales. About the third weekend of January, both Kissimmee and Orlando Public Library were having a big sale. On the day I went to the Kissimmee sale, they were doing fill a bag for $2. So I'm not going to show you all that I got. I literally filled 3 bags at that sale. But in my defense, most of those are to give away. Just recently I did a program at my daughter's school at Family Literacy Night that we have once a month in our media center, and I did a giveaway. I gave away to all the students that were there, I gave them each a book. And I also like to help out new teachers. Teachers are encouraged to keep classroom libraries in their classroom, and some of the newer teachers have not had time to accumulate any books. And so when I can find great deals on middle grade or children's books, I like to try to help out teachers. So some of the books I acquired will be going to one teacher in particular that I recently talked to and told her I would help her. And then some will go to our little free library downtown. So I'm not going to show you all the books that I'm going to give away. I'm just going to show you the ones that I plan to keep and read, either myself or for my daughter to read. And so I've broken them down into categories, and here's the order of things in case you want to skip around. First I'm going to show you the fantasy and dystopian books, and then the cozy mysteries, then the audiobooks. Most of those are cozy mysteries, and there's one that is nonfiction, so I will move on into the nonfiction books at that point. And then I will show you the children's and YA books that I got, and then the classics. And some of the classics I got are children's classics. And then the last few books are some women's fiction and cozy mysteries that are by the 7 collected authors that I have never read. You may remember if you saw that video that I uploaded not too long ago, and I have added a few more books to those collections, and so those I'll show you right at the end. A lot of these books came from the library book sales. A few came from library bookstores, and some from my own library book sale area, and some from used bookstores, and some from thrift stores. None of them are brand new except one that I ordered on Amazon. I don't even remember where I got some of these because I went so many different places. So I may not be able to tell you exactly where I got it, and you may not even care. So I'll just show you the books. For fantasy and dystopian, I got a couple of the Kingdom Keepers books. This is Kingdom Keepers book 3, Disney in Shadow. From my own library book sale, I picked up Kingdom Keepers book 7. This is The Insider. I think I got this from a thrift store, The World of the Hunger Games, and I got this for my daughter, and she has already read it. It's a lot of photographs and just a little bit of text, so she read it in one car ride from school to home. This is books 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the Shadow Children series by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I have book 3. I've read books 1 and 2. I found these at the, I think between the 2 library book sales that I went to, I found all of these, and I decided to go ahead and pick them up. This one is Among the Free, Among the Barons, Among the Enemy, and Among the Brave. Now that is not necessarily the order of them. I don't know offhand the order without looking it up. Now here's a really old fantasy book, Lady Hawk. I remember loving this movie starring Matthew Broderick and Rutger Hauer. I didn't even realize it was a book. I don't know if this is a movie novelization or if it was a book first made into a movie. But of course this is the movie edition, and because it's got Matthew Broderick on the front. But I just love this movie, and so I'm looking forward to reading the book. A couple of companion books to fantasy series. This is the Ultimate Unauthorized Aragon Guide by Lois H. Gresh, and it says Hidden Facts Behind the World of Allegatia. I guess that's how you say it. I have the first book in the Aragon series, which is Aragon, and I hope to read that this year. I got this at the library where it was fill a bag for $2, so I just went ahead and picked this up. Another one I got that same day is the Artemis Fowl Files by Johan Colfer, And I have only read the first Artemis Fowl book, and I wasn't really all that crazy about it, but I'm not giving up on the series yet. I do plan to continue, at least read a couple more books, and so since this was so inexpensive, I just went ahead and picked it up. This is one that I got from our library. This is 100 Cupboards. It's book 1 in this series. I've not ever heard of this before. It's by N.D. Wilson. 12-year-old Henry York can't ignore the thumping and scratching he hears on the other side of his bedroom wall, and he scrapes off the plaster and discovers doors, 99 cupboards of all different sizes and shapes. And as he opens each door, there are doors to other worlds. So this sounds really interesting. I think I will enjoy this. For Christmas, I received an Amazon gift card from my sister-in-law, and so what I chose to buy with that is Bedlam Lost by Jack Castle. Now, you've probably heard me talk about Jack Castle before. We used to be co-workers, and this is his second novel. I have already read and reviewed Europa Journal, and this is Bedlam Lost. Now, if you look on the back of this, it tells all the different genres that this fits into. It says fantasy, paranormal, action adventure, and thriller, and it is plugged as a supernatural sci-fi thriller. This creepy sci-fi thriller brings back the terror of early Dean Koontz and the mystery of the first season of Lost, which I loved, Lost, and I've never read Dean Koontz, but I have started this. I read the first chapter back when I read Europa Journal, and I can't wait to get to this. I think it's going to be awesome. So I think that's all of the fantasy and dystopian that I got. Now, while I was ordering this from Amazon, I decided to go ahead and order one other book because I think this pretty much ate up all of my gift card, but there was one mystery book in particular that I had been wanting to order because I figure I will never be able to find this anywhere else. A friend of mine gave me this entire series called The Patchwork Mysteries, and they were a mystery series put out by Guidepost a few years ago, and they're very quilty. They've got a kind of a quilt theme to them, and really cute, really pretty books. And the series that she gave me was missing book 4. She said it was I don't know, it was a situation where it was like a book club type situation, and she accidentally sent book 4 back before she decided that she was going to go ahead and keep them all, and so she never did read book 4 and didn't have it. So I found this on Amazon and decided to go ahead and get this book so that I can read the whole series, and then I want to pass it on to my sister. I believe we are planning a trip to Oklahoma for Thanksgiving where I will see my siblings. There are 12 in this series, and I'm hoping to have all of these read by then so that I can take these to her. Now, some of the other books that I got in my fill-a-bag, this is called Guilt Trip. It's by Laura Childs, and it is one of the scrapbooking mystery series. I've been really collecting these in paperback, but again, fill-a-bag for $2. I just couldn't resist putting it in my bag. Another one I picked up, again, fill-a-bag for $2. This is Espresso Shot by Cleo Coyle, and this is one of the coffee house mysteries. This one looks fun, by Leslie O'Kane. It's Death of a PTA Goddess, a Molly Masters mystery. And then I picked this up simply because of the author, because I have read The Guardians of Ga'Hoole and part of the Wolves of the Beyond series by Catherine Lasky, and apparently this is an adult cozy mystery. The series is called Callista Jacobs Mysteries. This one's called Dark Swan, and it's by Catherine Lasky Knight. I'm assuming that's the same person as Catherine Lasky, who's the author of Guardians of Ga'Hoole. So I decided to go ahead and pick this up. I'm currently listening to this series on audio, but this was actually free to me. The Good Husband of Zebra Drive by Alexander McCall Smith. I believe this is the 8th book in this series. I have the first 5 on audio, so I may put this in our little free library if I'm able to get this one on audio. This is a set of mysteries, cozy mysteries, that my sister recommended to me. I actually gave her the first one because I thought it looked like something she would like. I had not read it. She enjoyed it so much that she looked up the rest of the series at her library and has read them all. And my library just recently discarded them, so I snatched them up. The first one I picked up a couple months ago. It was called Lover's Knot, and I don't know the order of these. I think this is the second one. The names of these are all names of quilt patterns, kind of like the Erling Fowler series, but these are by Claire O'Donoghue, and there's only 5 of these, I believe, and so now I have 4 of them. The next one is called A Drunkard's Path, and again, that's the name of a quilt pattern. The Double Cross, and The Devil's Puzzle. These are from the Someday Quilts mystery series. And I got another book by Claire O'Donoghue that is not part of that series. This is called Life Without Parole. This is a Kate Conway mystery. Early in February, I went to a used bookstore that is not too far from me, and some of the books that I got there were also mysteries. I found the second book in the Fresh Baked Mysteries by Olivia J. Washburn. This is called Murder by the Slice. And I have read the first one of these. I already own the fifth one. They had the second one, and I decided to go ahead and pick it up. This is a really fun series about a group of retired teachers all living together in a house. This is another one of those books that I read the first one. I sent it to my sister. She's already read, I think, all of them, and because she's a retired teacher. So I knew she would like these, and I think I will enjoy them too. Here's another one that looks fun. I had one of these already, and so I picked this one up. This is called Killer Moose by Melinda Wells. This is from the Adela Cooks mystery series. And then I picked up 3 books from the Donut Shop mystery series by Jessica Beck. I've already read the 6th one in this series. I started reading it a couple years ago before I even realized that it was part of a series, and I had not been able to find any more of the series since then. But this is books 1 through 3 now. I think this is book 1, Glazed Murder, and book 2, Fatally Frosted, and book 3, Sinister Sprinkles. So I'm looking forward to reading these. I really did enjoy book 6, which was called Killer Crullers, and so I've been wanting to go back and find some more of these, and now I have. And then the only mystery I got that is not a cozy mystery is called Winter Chill. This is by Joanne Fluke, who does write cozy mysteries. She writes the Hannah Swenson Baking Mysteries, which now they've started making Hallmark movies of, the Murder She Baked movies. That's the same author, but she has some other thriller books, and since I like her cozy mysteries so much, I decided to try one of these. I got some mysteries on audio, and if you've watched my January wrap-up and my February TBR, you've already seen these. These were from my library because they are no longer going to be carrying audiobooks on cassette in our book sale area. So I was able to get these for free. The first 5 in the #1 Ladies Detective Agency series. So the first one is the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. The second one is Tears of the Giraffe. Third one is Morality for Beautiful Girls. The fourth one is The Kalahari Typing School for Men. And the fifth one is The Full Cupboard of Life. A few other audiobooks on cassette that I also got at the same time. This one is by Tony Hillerman. This is called The Blessing Way. I also got The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. And then one nonfiction book called Organizing from the Inside Out by Julie Morgenstern. I already have this book in physical form, and I think I've already read it, but this is, I believe, an abridged version of this book on 2 audio cassettes, so it's something I can listen to in my car, and it hasn't even been out of the wrapper yet. It's brand new. So while we're on the subject of nonfiction, I got some Atkins books at the Fill-A-Bag sale. The Dr. Atkins Quick and Easy New Diet Cookbook. I already have several Atkins cookbooks, but again, $2 for a whole bag, so I threw this one in. And I was really excited to find these. We already have a copy of the new Atkins Made Easy, and I bought it on Amazon and probably paid $10 for it. So I figured, again, this was in the Fill-A-Bag, so I figured I could sell this one since I already have a copy, and I'd be able to make back the money that I paid for the first one. And then they also had this one called The New Atkins for a New You. So I'll be keeping this one and reading it, definitely, to go with my other collection of Atkins books. We spent a good portion of last year doing the Atkins diet, really strict Atkins diet with my daughter, because we really feel like it did help her seizures, and she was still having seizures, so we've been doing a study right now for another experimental drug, and we kind of eased off the Atkins, and her seizures have really kind of gotten worse since we've stopped doing this. So since I have more weight I want to lose, I just decided, you know, very soon we're going to be going back to the stricter Atkins diet, because I think it helped her seizures, and I have really enjoyed losing weight. So definitely looking forward to doing this, and it really was not as hard as I thought it was going to be initially, but we kind of took a little time off during the holidays, and then my daughter Katie's birthday was mid-January, and so we're just kind of trying to get geared up to start again, and maybe this will motivate me. One other book I got for my husband, this is by Dan Miller, 48 Days to the Work You Love. It has a foreword by Dave Ramsey. My husband and I follow Dave Ramsey's plan. We are completely out of debt, and we usually enjoy whatever books he recommends. And while I don't think either of us are thinking of switching jobs, this is just one of those books that Dave is always recommending, and when I found it at a book sale, I just decided I would go ahead and pick it up for my husband to read, because you never know what information we might glean from it. Alright, so that's it for the nonfiction. Now let me move on to the YA and middle grade books that I got. I can never remember the official name of this series. We call them the Moon books. This is the first in the series. We have the second and third book. In fact, my daughter just recently reread them. She checked out the first one from the library and then read our copies of 2 and 3. And but I found this at a great deal at a library book sale in Tampa. So this is called Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer, and I don't think my husband has read this yet, so we will get some use out of this book. And since I have the second and third book, I just kind of wanted to own the first one and kind of help complete the series. We still don't have the fourth one yet. I'm hoping that when we go to the Scholastic Warehouse sale in May, they will have the fourth one, and I'll be able to get that then. I mentioned getting that at Tampa. I just had to take my daughter to Tampa the other day to the doctor, and so I never can resist stopping by the Tampa library and seeing what they have in their little bookstore area, and I picked this up, The Extraordinary Adventures of Alfred Kropp by Rick Yancey. I think I've seen this on Booktube, and I can't remember really anything about it. It was just a title that I recognized, and so it was $1, and I picked it up. This one was free to me. This is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, our library book sale. It was with some stuff that we got donated from the high school, and it was already pretty dinged up and dingy, and so they were just going to recycle it. And because I had seen it on Booktube and I thought that I might read it, it's by Stephen Chbosky. Is that how you say it? I don't know if it's going to be anything that I will enjoy, but I recognized it and thought I would just go ahead and pick it up since they were going to recycle it anyway. The Orlando Library book sale was, everything in their store was half price, and I found this there, and I was so excited because Akossiwa is always talking about this series, that it's one of her favorites. It's a trilogy. I think it's from the Gaither Sisters trilogy, and this is the first one, One Crazy Summer, and I was so excited to find it. Now I'm going to have to be on the lookout for the other 2 books because I definitely want to get to this series. A friend of mine brought me this the other day. She cleans out houses after estate sales. She goes in and cleans out houses and then resells stuff. And she brought me this book. It's a kid's book, and I had never heard of it, but it's got pictures by Brian Selznick. So I have not read any of Brian Selznick's books, although I've got some on my TBR. But it's got the same type of pictures that we're used to seeing with, I'm trying to find the one I saw earlier. It's just got some beautiful illustrations, and so it's called Doll People. The authors are Ann M. Martin and Laura Godwin, and then like I said, the pictures are by Brian Selznick. So this looks really good. Also, in my Fill-A-Bag, at the Fill-A-Bag sale, I got my own copy of The One and Only Ivan. It doesn't have a dust jacket, but I wasn't complaining since it was so cheap, and I love this book. It's one of my top books that I read in 2015, and I was excited to have my own copy. All right, I picked this up because this had because my oldest daughter's name is Emmeline. This is not how we spell it, but it's still pretty close. So this is Emmeline and the Bunny by Catherine Hannigan, and it looks like a really sweet little children's book. It's got quite a bit of text, but it's got some really pretty illustrations. And so I think I will probably read this to my daughter Emmeline, or Emily as we call her. A couple of older Newbery winners that I have not read that I picked up. This is The 21 Balloons by William Penn Dubois. This is a Newbery winner from the 1940s, I believe. And then this one is called It's Like This Cat by Emily Neville. This one is a Newbery winner from the 1960s, I believe. I found this at a charity thrift store, and this is a book that I remember reading when I was a child. I don't remember really much of anything about it, but I probably got this from like one of my teachers' classroom libraries or from our school library. I just remember it. A Dog on Barkham Street by Mary Stoltz, and it just, you know, the nostalgia hit me when I saw it, and I had to pick it up. Now, I've mentioned in earlier videos that I am the steward for our little free library downtown in our little town where I live, and it was put there by the Historical Society, but I supplied most of the initial books for it. We did have some other donations and some other people that volunteered to bring books, but I also continue to supply it regularly with children's books. We generally have a good exchange of adult books, but the children's books tend to leave and not come back, and that's fine. I have had a couple of other people who have donated some large amounts of children's books, and I myself put in quite a few. Now, one of those other people, I'm not sure who, donated quite a large quantity of children's chapter books recently. It was really more than what the box could hold comfortably. And some of the books that were there were books 3 through 8 of the series of unfortunate events. Well, I looked at these and I thought, okay, first of all, I really would like to read these. And second of all, this is not really an ideal series to put in the Little Free Library because it's something I believe that needs to be read in order. And since in the Little Free Library, you've got people taking books and not bringing them back. So, it's quite possible that somebody had already taken books 1 and 2 and then left 3 through 8. So then the next person that comes along only has book 3 to start with. And, after that, then, you're just left with random books in the series. And if you want to read them from the beginning, then, you've got to go elsewhere to find your book. So since I already had book 1 and I figured I wouldn't have much trouble finding book 2, I made the executive decision to go ahead and take these out and keep these and replace them with other books, which I do all the time. And so these are really nice hardback books. That's really what the function of the Little Free Library is, to take books you want and put back books that you no longer need. So that's what I'm doing. Not long after that, I visited a friend of mine who has a flea market bookstore about a half an hour from here, and I asked her if she had books 1 and 2 of Series of Unfortunate Events, and she did. So now I have books 1 and 2 also in hardback, and I will take my paperback copy of the first book and put that in the Little Free Library, as well as many other books that I have acquired at these book sales. And so we'll all be square, and I will have some books that I want, and the Little Free Library will have plenty of books for kids to choose from. A couple of other vintage children's books that I found. I believe I got this at one of the charity thrift shops that I went to. This is one of the Happy Hollister books, The Happy Hollisters and the Whistle Pig Mystery by Jerry West. I've been collecting Happy Hollister books in recent years. If you may recall, if you saw some of my earlier videos, the Happy Hollisters was the first book series I ever remember reading from. My 3rd grade teacher had some in her classroom library, and they were the first chapter books that I ever read. My daughter, who is now 12, when she started reading chapter books, I got these out and showed her, and she read a couple of them and enjoyed them. They're not a series that has really maintained popularity over time, and not that many people really know what they are. And so since I have a collection of them, when I find them, I go ahead and pick them up because of the nostalgia of it all. I think this was in some of the books that my neighbor's family gave me after my neighbor passed away, and I didn't even realize what it was until I was going through stuff and opened it up. It's got a lot of damage on the outside, but I was excited to find that this is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. And this edition is from 1946. I understand that Alice in Wonderland is about 150 years old now. And one of the challenges that I'm doing this year, either the Ultimate Reading Challenge or the Around the World in 52 Books, one of the challenges is to read a book that is 100 years older than you are. So 150 years old, that's just about right. So I am planning to read Alice in Wonderland this year. These are also classic, these are updated, newer editions of some classic books. A friend of mine gave me this book not too long ago. She gave this to Katie and me because she had gotten some books, I think, from some sort of a book club situation, and this is, she said, and they sent me book 4 of a series. How am I supposed to read book 4 if I don't have the other 3? And so she gave it to me because she knows that I'm always, dealing in books. This is book 4 in the Elsie series by Martha Finley, and it's called Elsie's Womanhood. Now, I've never read any of these books, but I've seen them around, and I've always been curious about them. And from what I gather, they are a Christian-based story about a girl named Elsie, and apparently Martha Finley wrote some other different series. I believe the Elsie series is her most famous and most popular. This is one of the original Elsie classics. Her books, it's according to the back, they were written between 1868 and 1905, and they have since then been updated. So at one of the book sales, I found book 3 called Elsie's New Life, and when you look at the finer print of this one, this is an updated, more modernized version of the same series. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to lean towards reading. I may try one of each, and well, I've definitely got to find book one before I get into these. We had a small book sale at our library earlier this week, and a mother and daughter were there who were visiting from Ohio, and the girl was 12, and I asked her what she liked to read and who were her favorite authors, and she said her favorite author was Martha Finley. So I was excited to learn that. I'm definitely going to look into these books. I've picked up a few other classics along the way. This was left over from our Christmas books, and I heard Leela on My World in English talking about this book. This is The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by L. Frank Baum, and it's just a little short book, but she said it was really good, and so I just thought I would go ahead and bring it home since it was left over from Christmas. I probably won't read it till next Christmas, but at least I have it. And I also got this from our library. They were going to recycle it because it was kind of dog-eared, and this is 1984 by George Orwell. I remember living through 1984, and I had never really heard about this book, but I was in college in 84, and I remember there were pictures everywhere, you know, the whole Big Brother is watching you. There were posters to that effect everywhere, and people were talking about this book because now here it was, 1984, and I still never read it. And so when I saw this and they were getting rid of it, I just decided I would go ahead and bring it home because I should read this book. These I got from a couple of different sources, but they're all by H.G. Wells. I got The Island of Dr. Moreau. I've seen this movie, and I thought it was really fascinating, so I think I will enjoy reading the book. I got The Empire of the Ants. I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie too. In fact, my favorite type of sci-fi movie really is about when a particular creature mutates or multiplies and takes over a town or resort or island or something like that. I don't know. It's crazy, but I love watching those kind of movies. So when I saw this book, I thought, oh, I bet the movie I remember seeing was based on this book. So I am looking forward to reading this. And then I also got The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I have never read any of these books, so I am glad to have them now. Another book I picked up at one of the charity thrift stores in our area. I had never heard of this, but the book just caught my eye, and I thought it looked interesting. It's called The Lost Summer of Louisa May Alcott by Kelly O'Connor McNeese. And it says it's a novel, so it's not a nonfiction biographical book of Louisa May Alcott. It's simply a novel, and it looks interesting. I think it was a quarter, so I picked it up. And the last 4 books are going to be added to my collection of 7 collected authors that I have never read. I was planning to read some Jody Thomas books in February, but if you saw my February TBR, I wrote a little note saying that there wasn't going to be time. So I have postponed, and but because I was originally planning to read Jody Thomas in February, I went to a used bookstore in our area and picked up book 3, The Comforts of Home. I want to be able to binge read these books and start from the beginning and just work my way through as many as I feel like once I get started on them. So I wanted to have this. And I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to reading those. I'm definitely doing mysteries in March, so maybe April or later in the year I will get to those books, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading them. And then another one of the collected authors that I have never read is Lorna Landvik. So I found actually 2 copies of Angry Housewives at our library book sale. You know, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this or not, but since I've been collecting Lorna Landvik books, I decided I may as well pick this one up. The only one of the Traveling Pants series that I did not have is the 4th one, so I found it. Forever in Blue, The 4th Summer of the Sisterhood by Amber Shares, and now I have this complete series and I'm looking forward to reading it. And then another one of the Earlene Fowler, Benny Harper mystery series. This one is called State Fair. So that is all the books that I accumulated in January and the early part of February. I am going to be going to one more big library book sale in a few days, and so I will probably do a library book sale haul for just the books that I get at that sale. And then I got to figure out where I'm going to put all these books. I've really got to get some of these read. Some of my older books I've got to get read and move out and donate elsewhere to make room for the new stuff. And really, a lot of these books I will be able to pass on to other people as soon as I read them. I better wrap up this video and get busy reading. I hope you're having a great day today. Read a good book, and God bless you.